Hello everyone. I've been asked by a few people about our holiday. So I thought I'd do a little chat about where we went, what it was like, everything else, and show you some photos that I took while I was there. Have to excuse me, I'm still trying to recover from this dengue fever. Bit of a slow recovery, but we will get there. I keep thinking I'm okay, and then I sort of get up and I think, oh, I'll make the bed. And I mean, these days it's not hard to make a bed, is it? You just straighten out your pillows and pull the duvet over, straighten it all up. And I do that and I feel like I'm going to pass out, and I need to sit down for a rest before I can even think about getting dressed. It's ridiculous. It just makes you feel really quite pathetic again, and I remember this feeling after COVID, because it took me a good probably a year before I felt comfortable showering without a seat, because I couldn't stand up long enough to shower myself. I would run out of energy and breath. And it was probably 2 years before I felt I was as good as I was ever going to get. So I do remember that feeling. I remember in the early days feeling very disappointed in myself, feeling quite pathetic, that I just couldn't get over this. And of course, none of us knew what it was like. Not even the doctors knew what it was like. No one could predict how it was, and it was so different for everybody. But once I got over that, I just accepted where I was. You know, things improved. I accepted what level of health I was at. And I think, you know, it's helped with this, because as frustrating as it is, and as sometimes I just think, God, it's so pathetic. You can't even walk into the kitchen without having to sit down and have a rest before you do the dog's dinner. You know, it's you do feel a bit pathetic, but that's just how it is. I've just got to accept my body's going to take a bit of time to recover. Can't take too long though, because I'm teaching in a few weeks at a sewing retreat, so I think there'll be lots of sitting around for me. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get through. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But anyway, back to the holiday. We went to the Maldives. We first went to the Maldives 3 years ago to the same resort and absolutely loved it. We went end of April, beginning of May, just because of things that were in our diary. We had friends come in with us, and it was a time that suited all of us with various other commitments. So we went. We absolutely fell in love with the resort, with the Maldives. I have never seen such beautiful turquoise coloured sea, and I have never swum in such a nice ocean. And I've swam with little baby reef sharks, loads of fish. They just all mind their own business. They all just swim along the shore with you. The first year I didn't do any snorkeling, because with my asthma and my breathing problems, I've always, I mean, if I watch people scuba diving on the TV, I just think, why are they doing that? They are mad, because if anything goes wrong, you can't breathe. You know, so I do get a bit panicked, I think. So for me, it was just, no. And the snorkel gear that they give you, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like goggles and one of those tubes that go into your mouth. And I remember trying to do that when I was younger, and you'd swim along, and you know, it was annoying. It was in my mouth and I had to bite it and hold on to it. And then you know, if you duck too low, the water would go down the tube and you'd half drown yourself. And it was, oh, for me, it was just too much hassle. So I didn't do any snorkeling. You know, I could stand at the water's edge and see the baby sharks and the fish, and I could wade in with them, and my phone would go underwater so I could film them under the water. I would put my phone underneath and film them, and then I'd take it out and have a look, and oh, that's what it looks like under there. But I never felt the need to stick my head under. But we loved it. I've never been in a place where I felt so connected, I think. I love nature. I love nature and I love being in nature, and there is nothing else there really apart from nature. You are surrounded by the sea, the sand, which is a corally sand. They have little parrotfish that munch all the coral up, the dead coral, and then that comes back up, and that's your sand on the beach. And you know, little hermit crabs running around, bigger crabs running around, lizards darting about, fruit bats, these funny little birds, I forget what they're called, but they're beautiful, and they would come down and visit our pool every morning. But the resort was lovely because I had mobility issues. They couldn't do enough for me. If I needed to go anywhere, we'd send you a buggy. They'd come around with a golf buggy. They'd drop us off. If one of the restaurants was just up there, we would walk to it. I could walk a little bit because I do try to walk as much as I can. But if it was right around the other side of the island, I couldn't manage it. And so they would come and pick us up, drop us off. They'd come and pick us up when we finished. And everyone was just so lovely. And I almost felt like I'd come home. This is a place where I could just be me and just really enjoy my time there. So the following year, we'd gone, we'd all loved it. And my husband said, oh, I'm 70 in 3 years. Maybe we'll come back for my 70th. And I said, oh yeah, that'll be good. And we were talking, because we went all inclusive, you get what they call a butler, which is just a little person who puts you in a WhatsApp group. So there was our villa and our friend's villa next door and him. So we could all chat and, oh, we need to go here, need to go there. You know, can you send a buggy, blah, blah, blah. And if we needed to know anything, he would help us out. So we sort of said to our butler, Niche, that Ross would be 70 in 3 years in January, and we would come back. Oh, no, don't come back then. He said, it's the height of the season. He said, the island is heaving. He said, you'll wait an hour to get a buggy anywhere. He said, it's really hard to get booked in the restaurants and blah, blah, blah. So he said, you know, this time of year is fine. He said, you know, we'd had a couple of little rain showers and an odd thunderstorm, but they just blow through very quickly. So he said, you've had more rain now than we would have in the rainy season. So we thought, oh, okay. So when we came home, we were sort of thinking, because it was the first holiday I've been on since COVID. We never thought I'd get back on a plane, because the thought of trying to navigate myself through an airport and sitting in a position for you know, so many hours on a plane, I just thought, I'm gonna hurt so much, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So when we came back, because I had managed to do it, we were like, we could go on holiday. Where should we go next year? And my husband kept saying to me, I don't want to go anywhere else. Which, you know, music to my ears, because to be perfectly honest, I didn't want to go anywhere else. I've done all the busy holidays when I was much more active. I've done all the busyness, I've done all the exploring. And so he said, shall we go back again? And I went, well, can we? And he went, oh yeah, sod it, let's just go. So he happened to tell our two friends. He said, oh, me and Ju are thinking of going back to the Maldives next year. And they went, oh, we come. Because they loved it just as much as we did. So we're like, right, we're all on board with it. So we thought, do we go back to the same place or try somewhere new? So because we loved the resort so much and the care they gave us, we stuck with the resort company, Sun Siam, but they have 5 resorts in the Maldives. So we went for one of their smaller islands because I thought might be easier for me to get around, might feel a bit more private. And also the island we were on, it was large enough for me, but it was classed as a medium-sized island, the first one. And their buffet was immense. There was not a bit of food in there that you didn't like. It was stunning. There was lots of it cooked freshly to order for you. It was just wonderful, so amazing. And there was also 5 or 6 different restaurants that we could eat in as well. And everywhere was good. Everywhere had brilliant food. The smaller island only had 2 restaurants. And I just said, well, should we try for the smaller island, see if we prefer it? Because we know the buffet's good, so we won't be limited to 2 restaurants. We can always eat in the buffet, because we said we could have literally eaten in the buffet on the island we were on every mealtime, and we wouldn't have got bored, because there was so much range of food. There was always something different you could eat every mealtime. So they were like, yeah. And we got there, and it was a cute little island. It was easier for me to get about. And we went end of March, beginning of April. And the buffet was very poor, I have to say. There was a lot I liked about the island, but the buffet let it down. And because even if you went in there when it had just opened, the food was cold and it was very samey. It was like the same meals virtually every time you went in there. And whereas the other island, they did a theme night every night for dinner. So every lunch was always pretty the same, but there was a pasta station, a noodle station, a sushi bar, a salad bar, a fruit bar. You know, there were so many different things you could have. But in the evenings, they would have like an Italian night, a Maldivian night, an Indian night, a Mexican night. So they would have a Spanish, Mediterranean, you know, they'd have a theme every night. So you always got something different at dinner time. This one didn't. It just seemed to be the same every time. And so we started eating just in the 2 restaurants, which for 2 weeks, when you got to have lunch and dinner in there every day, it got very, very samey and I got very bored. So there was nice bits I liked about it, but there was the food let it down. And to be perfectly honest, when you're on an island like that and there are no shops to go to, the food is an important thing, because if you haven't got very good food, it's just going to make you miserable. So this year we went back to the first island. They are doing major renovations, but we also went because my sister was 50 earlier in the year, and she had been to the Maldives years and years ago and loved it and always wanted to take our mum. And before she got to take our mum, we lost our mum. And it was very sudden. On 8 years ago, on her 75th birthday, we thought she might have had a little stroke, just a very small one, because she was just slightly off and she had a little droop on the side of her mouth, and and we just thought, oh, well, if she has had a stroke, it's such a small one, it hasn't really affected her, so that's good. But when she had her scan, they found she had a massive brain tumour, and there was nothing that could be done. And she passed 69 days later. So she needed a lot of looking after, and we all pitched in and did our bit. And it was very traumatic for us, excuse me. But for my sister's 50th birthday in February, I knew she wanted to go to the Maldives. We had discussed it last year, and she was saying, what resort would you recommend out of the two you went to? She said, because I'd really like to go to the Maldives for my in my 50th birthday year. I said, oh, I'd definitely go back to the first one, and just said jokingly, if you want company, me and Ross will happily come with you. And she said, oh, I'd love that. So when it was coming, so we planned that we would go. She was going to take her children because it would probably be the last holiday they'd go on with her as they were getting older. So there were 6 of us, and then she said, oh, Roy and Laurie come in, and I said, well, as this was for your birthday, I didn't feel like it. She went, oh, no, it's your holiday as well if you want them to come. So, yeah, Roy and Laurie were quite happy to come. So there was 8 of us going. And I thought, right, for my sister's 50th, I got my brother-in-law to go on a secret mission when she wasn't around, and he got some of my mum's ashes. And I sent them off to, I think his name is Stuart Wiltshire Glass on Instagram. I'll add a link in the description. And I had seen this beautiful turquoise wave he did. I'll put a photo up and show you. Which I wanted for myself because my mum loved swimming more than anything, and I loved the Maldives, and the turquoise colour reminded me of the sea in the Maldives. So I wanted some of mum's ashes in there. And then I thought, oh, for my sister's 50th, she will be able to take mum to the Maldives. So I made her a palm-size glass heart in my sister's favourite colours, which is lilac and turquoise blue, like swirly colours, and had my mum's ashes in there. So when I gave it to her for her 50th, she was over the moon, and I said to her, those specks in there, that is mum, and I thought you could take us to the Maldives finally. So that was really lovely. She was very, very touched with that, and she did. She took her. Now the night we lost mum, we lost her about 10 to 1 in the morning. And after going over there and waiting for the funeral directors to come and collect mum, once she had gone off with them, we both drove home. And she drove to her house and I drove to mine, and we both witnessed the most incredible sunrise that morning. And I've always liked the sunrise, and so has my sister. But she really associates the sunrise now with mum. So the dates we had to arrange, because my eldest niece had done her first year at uni, we waited until she finished uni. So we were going on the 1st of June for 2 weeks. And on the 7th of June is my brother-in-law's birthday, but it's also the anniversary of my mum passing. So that morning, Paula took a beautiful photo of mum's glass heart sitting on the edge of her swimming pool with the sun coming up and her meditating. She does a lot of meditation with the sunrise. And she likes to have her little moment early in the morning for mum, and then dedicate the rest of the day to her husband, because you don't want him to always, we don't want his birthday to always be about mum. So she just has her time in the morning, and then the rest of the day is Alvin's. So it was very special, all of us being there. And then I thought what I wanted to do as well, because we're quite happy to go back to that island. We love that island. We love everyone on there. We love everything it offers. We love the premium all-inclusive, which I've looked at some other all-inclusives and they say, oh yeah, all-inclusive, breakfast, lunch and dinner in the buffet. And you'll get a percentage off the food in other restaurants. Well, to me, that isn't all-inclusive. That isn't dine around all-inclusive. Dine around is, you can dine around everywhere. There's only one restaurant on the island we like, Irifushi, that you have to pay 50% of the food, but your drinks are all still free because you're all-inclusive. And actually, it's the Islanders Grill. The food is so outstanding. It is freshly caught that day. It is beautiful. And to pay 50%, we'd happily pay 100% of the bill because the food is so good. So, yeah, so we went to the Islanders Grill for Alvin's birthday, and Paula and Alvin and the girls were going home a few days before we were, and I wanted to do something special for me and Paula. I don't know if she'll go back. I know I will go back. So while we were there, I arranged, my mum loved the sun, she loved the sea, and she loved her family. And as we'd all been there on her anniversary day, and also as a young girl, my mum's favourite snack was a dark chocolate Bounty bar. She loved coconut. So we've planted a coconut tree for mum on the island with a little plaque, so I can go back every few years and keep an eye on it and see how it's growing. So me and my sister did that. We just had a private morning by ourselves and planted the tree, and she brought her little heart and we put that at the base of the tree and took some photos. And then our butler, we had a lovely girl this time, Naura, and because my sister was arriving the day after us, they had to change their flights because of all the unrest in the Middle East, and she wanted to get a direct flight, so she knew she'd get there. So she arrived the day after us, and so Naura said, shall I request to be their butler as well, because then I can keep you all in the loop? I said, yes, that'd be perfect. So she met them and brought them. And it was so lovely. Just, I saw them arrive on the jetty. I was sitting on our sunbeds at the beach and I was just along. So I charged along to see them. And it was just so lovely to see my sister, my brother-in-law and my nieces, and in a place that I love and I know they love. So it was really nice. But Naura said, you're not leaving that glass heart here, are you? Paula said, oh, no. She said, I just wanted to have mum here while we did it and have a photo with her tree. Anyway, she then went out onto the beach and found a little heart-shaped piece of white coral, which she picked up and we've put at the bottom of the tree. And I checked the morning we left, because we left 2 days after them. It was still there. Nobody's disturbed it. And the tree's looking really well. And it's lovely because it was just around the corner. Sorry, my doggy. It was just around the corner from our villa we were staying in. And every morning I walked past, I was like, hello, Mum, how are you? It's just really nice. I do the same here when I find a white feather in my garden. You know, the feathers are always a sign from my mum, and she loved her garden as well. Every time I go out in the garden, a white feather falls on the floor, and I'm just like, hello, mum. I know you're here. Hello, missing you. You know, so we have had the most glorious time on holiday. We did get, they had some phenomenal storms that they said they've never seen the like of. So the thunderstorm started one day at about 4 a.m. in the morning. And normally, because there's nothing there, there's no height, there's nothing to, it's all very open, there's nothing to trap the weather in, they blow through very quickly. Oh no, this one started early in the morning and it hammered down and hammered down. And then it rained all that day, and it rained and thundered and lightened all that night and all the next day until about tea time the following evening. So it was like 2 days, but of course it brought out all the mozzies, the really nasty, wretched mozzies that come out in the daytime that apparently have dengue fever, which we didn't know. And I mean, we were putting sprays and everything on, and the island are very good at fogging the island. But because it was so wet, it just destroyed the insecticide every day. So we all got bitten to death, and we all came home and suddenly started dropping like flies with dengue fever. So that's been a first for me. I had a lot of firsts on this holiday. I got stung. At first I thought it was jellyfish, because, well, I thought it was a tendril of a jellyfish, because I was sort of walking out into the sea and I felt this sting right across my leg, and I was like, oh, that's really stinging. What is that? And straight away jellyfish popped in my mind, and I just thought, no, you know, we're not used to these things. And then I felt the sting go across the other leg, and I was like, ow, that really hurts. And I was like, oh, and I just started backing up, and I obviously walked back into whatever it was, because I felt a massive, massive burning and stinging pain right on my backside. And I was like, oh, and Ross was further out than me, and I looked in the water and I could see like this, it was like a clear stringy thing like this with purple dots in it. And at first I thought, oh, that's really pretty. I almost went to pick it up, and then I thought, oh, I wonder if that's like a tendril that's broken off of a jellyfish, and that's what's wrapped around my legs. So I was calling to Ross. I was like, Ross, I think I've been stung. I'm getting out. He couldn't hear me. He was snorkeling away. And then we were a bit naughty. We shouldn't have gone in the sea, because although the storm had passed, the red flags were still up. But it looked calm enough, so we did wander in. Our fault entirely. Anyway, when I came out, I could see like a red rash across here and here. And of course, all of us remember that classic episode from Friends where we all believed that if you get stung by a jellyfish, the best thing to do is pee on it. Well, I didn't want anyone peeing on me, and it was stinging. So I thought, I'll get in my pool. That water is colder than the sea. It might calm it down. Well, it made it worse. And then I was on my phone, and then Ross got out, and he said, what's the matter? And I said, I think I've been stung. And he said, yeah, I felt something like across my forehead and here. He said it was stinging, burning. And just as he said that, a little man came along the beach and changed the red flag to a purple one, which said jellyfish on it. So he was like, oh. So I looked up what you have to do, and the best thing to do is, I was all right getting in the cold water in the pool, because it's salt water, not chlorinated. But you don't get into fresh water. That makes the poison come out more. But the thing to do is to get in a shower as hot as you can bear for 20 minutes. So that's what we did, and we were fine. And then my brother-in-law was chatting to one of the diving guys, and he said, oh, it will be stinging plankton. He said, but you know, nobody knows what stinging plankton is, so we just put the jellyfish sign up. But he said it's when it's been stormy, it all gets pushed in from the sea, and it's too weak to get itself back out. So that's why the red flags were up, because they knew something would have probably washed in, and it needed time on its own to clear. And he said, oh, well, she said she thought it was a tendril because it was like clear with purple dots. They went, that's it, that's the stinging plankton. So that was a first. I've been stung. I've planted a tree on an island in the Maldives. I've left my mark there. What else was a first? Oh, I went to the spa, and they have an Ayurvedic doctor there, and you can have Ayurvedic treatments and rituals. And I booked in for a 3-day package. So the first day I went in, I had an hour's consultation with the doctor. He told me what my strongest energy was, and basically how I should do things, and the best things for me to eat and things like that. Up to you if you follow it, but it was very interesting. And then we had then I had an hours-long massage, which was just the most delightful massage I have ever had. And I've been told in the past that I'm awful to massage because I go rigid and I fight against it. I think, you know, it's a stranger's hands touching me, and, you know, I've always been a bit funny, and about them seeing my body and everything else. So I'd always fight against it and be tense, so it never really worked. But it was fine, this. I was so relaxed. It was so lovely. I mean, these little Thai girls, they're just, she's doing your back, and then one minute you think, oh, bit of pressure there on the bed, you know, as you're laying face down, bit of pressure the other side. Without a sound, she's just hopped up and straddled you and is giving you a really good back massage. Then the next thing you hear, she's hopped off and she's got more oil, and honestly, they're as light as a feather. They're like puppets. They just ping up, ping down. Brilliant. So that was my first day. Yeah, so the second day I had half an hour massage to start loosening me up, and then I had half an hour with the hot poultice. So the herbs in the poultice were heated, was soaked in warm oil, and then it was like long sweeping strokes up and down your limbs, but around all your joints. They did circular movements with this hot poultice all around your joints. It was amazing. I was a bit worried it was going to hurt, but it didn't. And my joints have never felt so amazing. So in the shop, I'd bought the hot poultice, I bought the oil, everything, so I can do a little treatment myself at home, try and keep my knees good. And excuse me, my dog, we've got someone in because we weren't getting any hot water unless we put the immersion on, so I don't know if the timer's broken, but anyway, it'll get sorted. But on the third day, I had half an hour of the massage I had on day one, which again was lovely. Just puts you into a lovely, relaxed place. And then I laid on my back for half an hour while they ran hot oil across my hairline and my third eye. And that was so, it was so gentle that you almost couldn't feel it. And the only way I can describe it was like a whisper across my forehead. It was amazing, but it sent me onto a completely different plane. It was very spiritual, and it was like nothing in the world existed apart from me and this beautiful feeling across my head. And then I visited with my mum for 30 minutes while that was going on. And it was amazing. And I absolutely loved it. And it was a shame it was all over, but it was amazing. So I've never had Ayurvedic treatment before. Love it, love it. If you've got a clinic near you or someone who does the Ayurvedic massages, treatments, go and try it out. It is amazing. So that was another first for me on holiday. What else? I think that was about it. I managed, on the journey there, we had about 7.5 hour flight from Heathrow to Dubai. I managed to stitch my little mini hexagons together on the plane. I had all my hexagons prepped. I put them all in a Ziploc bag. I didn't take scissors. I cut lots of lengths of thread, and then I rewrapped it around the cotton reel, and then I poked my needle inside, and I just put that in the bag and put it in my hand luggage and just hoped they wouldn't want to throw it away because of the needle, and they didn't. So I was able to sit and sew and put my Mabel's garden little hexy wall hanging together. I've still got to finish it. I've got to do a bit of embroidery on the plain hexagons, but I haven't been able to do much since I've come home. And quite clearly I didn't take enough hand sewing stuff with me, because I did that on the flight to Dubai, and then I sat twiddling my thumbs and just did a bit of reading and, you know. But yes, so we are planning on going back next year. Even though we caught dengue, it was the wrong time of year. And we're hoping to go, I think it's the last week in February, first week in March next year. So we chatted to Naura, our butler, and she's gonna sort us out a price. I know how much it will be to book straight through Emirates, but I said to her, see if you can do us a deal, because we'll be gold members apparently, and we'll get some extra perks. So we'll see who comes out the better, because if we book with them, then we can just book our flights with Emirates. But all in all, it was a lovely holiday. I feel very sad for everyone who got ill when we got home. I was ill, my husband was ill, Roy was ill, very ill. We were very, very worried about Roy for a while. I was very worried about my sister for a while, because she came home a couple of days before us. She didn't want to ruin our last couple of days, so she didn't say anything until we got home. But she was really ill, and when she rang me and spoke to me, I could hear it in her voice, and she just sounded like a little girl who just needed a mummy hug. You know when you just feel so lousy, you just want your mum to come and make it better. And honestly, she breaks my heart when she sounds that ill, because I know what she wants. And I'm not my mum and I can't give it to her, but I try my best. I try to be there as much as I can for her. So yeah, and then our husband started getting a really, really high temperature as well. So I don't know if he's got his results from his blood tests yet. But there's not much you can do. It's just, they say the recovery is a bit like COVID. You're very fatigued, you get brain fog. I know my what they call motor skills are useless. That's why I haven't been able to do very much, because I can't pick things up properly. That could be my fibromyalgia, just because with the travelling, it takes it out of me. But yeah, I've got to have repeat bloods done just to check levels are going back to normal. They have to check that your coagulation is okay, liver and kidney function is okay. Mine isn't brilliant. Something else isn't brilliant. Oh, I don't know. I was reading all the results on my NHS app, and there's this wrong and that wrong and this needs looking at and this needs chasing up. It's, oh my goodness. I sort of wish I hadn't gone. But, you know, all you can do is rest, plenty of fluids. I know I need to drink more water, and I've got a can of Diet Coke in my hand, but water gets so boring. Plenty of fluids, rest, and paracetamols. You can't take any type of ibuprofen because it can cause bleeding. Ruby, what are you doing? Are you being a pest? Are you being a pest? Yes. Yes, I know. Good girl. Yes, it can cause bleeding, and if you feel nauseous, you feel lightheaded, I mean, it's just fine. But if you get up, Ruby, she's turfing all her bed up in here. If you get any bleeding from the gums, the nose, or any blood in your stool, you have to call 111 straight away and get help, because it can be, when it gets to that stage, it can be quite dangerous. But yeah, I seem to be, the most dangerous time is the first 24 hours after your fever breaks. That's when it can either get better or get worse. That's sort of when Roy got worse, but fingers crossed, we think he's going to be okay. I don't think I hit the danger spot. I'm just coming out of it, but it's just taking time. But anyway, I hopefully have been showing some pictures while I've been chatting to you, so you can see all the things I was talking about. I hope you enjoy my little roundup of the Maldives. We haven't been put off from going again. We just go at a different time of the year when there's not so many dengue mozzies about. But apparently they're in France, Spain and Portugal now, so you can get them anywhere. And they're rife from May to November, so there we go. I won't be going to any of those places during those times. But you can, once you've had it, you can get a vaccination against it. So I think we're all going to get vaccinated before we go again. Just to be on the safe side. I don't want to feel like this again. I really don't. But anyway, that was my little holiday. I hope I haven't bored you. I hope you found it interesting. I loved it. I loved being there with my sister. I loved being there with my brother-in-law and celebrating his birthday. I loved my nieces being there, Roy and Laurie being there. I loved being back at the island I really liked. It was just a lovely, lovely time. Even with the rain we had, it was lovely. But as with the Maldives, when the rain comes, it can be absolutely lashing it down. 1 minute, and then within an hour, brilliant sunshine and you're sunbathing and everything's dried up because it's so hot. So we just had an unlucky couple of days. But there we go. That was my time. I'll speak to you all soon. The next video, I promise, will be some sewing. I hope. I need to get back to sewing. I've got to get my fingers working properly again. But I will speak to you all soon. I hope you're all well. I hope you've all got some nice holidays booked and planned for this year. Speak to you soon. Bye.